Well, good morning, everybody. How are you? It is almost the weekend. Someone clue me in. What happened to my Maymay's fur baby? I was, as you know, everyone knows what I do when I am getting ready for the show. Wash hands, brush teeth, go pee-pee. Who lost a fur baby? Was it May, also known as Still Waters? May, what happened? What happened to your fur baby? I just happened to see a glimpse of May saying that she was watching videos of OJ to fight through tears. And I didn't understand. I didn't correlate it. And I went back through. May, you know how to get a hold of me. Okay? Let's everyone please cover May in love and internet hugs. And she knows how to get a hold of me. Dear God, Pat. Not Pat, Cat. Shit. I know I was peeing. May lost her little baby, put him to sleep, only 2 years old. Yes, I was peeing. I missed everything. Thank you for filling me in. Okay, someone cannot go missing without someone knowing something somewhere. This case, someone knows. Hey, two Boston moms, what's up? Ooh, impressive. Pat's cat. Telling you. Well, a lot of stuff is coming out. A lot of people are being arrested, but the people that are being arrested have zero to do with the disappearance of Jack and Lily. A lot of things I'm confused about. Well, I'm not confused. I'm just having a convo with you. Daniel was recently questioned again. After being questioned, he went back to the lovely trailer that you see on your screen, and he threw out a bunch of Jack and Lily's things. We now know that right before the children's disappearance, well, I shouldn't say right before. Some people will take that away. I'm being too generalized. Her grandmother got her a car, and it had just recently been registered. He knew what was coming down the pike. A lot of theories. They've opened up a whole new digital warrant. And I do believe the shift in the investigation is going to turn something up. Because if they did not find the children in the woods, and we know they didn't. And nobody around is speaking out, well, except for one, the only one that's not in trouble, okay? This is, it's just heartbreaking. Let's take a second and tell everybody happy Thursday. Well, good morning, Pat Kate. A lot of people had an issue with Danielle Halligan. Haniel Helen. Her take on the case. I don't like the back and forth about who has this theory or that opinion. Okay? Because at the end of the day, I got this quote from our friend Just Me. Everyone could be right or everyone could be wrong. And that's the truth. We've seen it in other cases. So she has a lot of digital shorts, and it proves something but proves nothing at the same time.
I know the truth. I didn't kill Lily and Jack. I just think a lot of people online they're seeking drama. That's the main thing.
What began as a desperate effort to find 2 missing children was now turning into...
Who do you think is seeking drama? Let's put it this way. Let's see, if I drove out of here right now, I would be in Pictou County. This is Thursday. Sometime on Saturday, and that is with very little sleep and very little pee. I would go ahead and far reach that to Sunday. 2 children are missing. What could be more dramatic than that? The people creating the drama are the people that are covering for themselves, or the people that believe them. Hello, Sister Karen.
Into a public examination of the family. Morning of May 2nd, 2025, Lily Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother, Jack Sullivan, disappeared from their rural home in Pictou County, Nova Scotia. At the time of their disappearance, Lily and Jack lived with their mom, Malaya Brooks Murray, and their stepdad, Daniel Martell. Now, Belinda, the children's paternal grandmother, came forward and told reporters that she was shocked when she arrived at Daniel and Malaya's home to help search in those early days, and she saw the condition of everything.
I used to think, now, if anybody's meant to be a mom, it was her. A part of me still feels that.
Why only a part of you still feels that? What do you mean?
After seeing the condition of the home, it was like the total opposite of what I knew of Malaya. She was always clean about herself, about the kids, about her home. This home looked more like a camp. It was very unkempt. There's no way those kids are in the woods.
I get that some people say that the charges against Daniel for what he did to someone in quotes is not relevant to the disappearance of Jack and Lily. I'm going to go ahead and give my uneducated opinion and say I think it is. I think it is relevant to the case of Jack and Lily. I almost said Lack and Jilly. The hell, I need more coffee. It's very common in discovery in another case that a bigger case is solved. We have seen it before, my friends. We have seen it before.
I think somebody hurt these kids.
It also ended up being revealed that in conversations that Malaya had with other family members, she described Daniel as controlling. Daniel had in fact been using drugs, and Malaya told them that he had actually hidden his drug use from her the entire first year of their relationship. But Daniel, he actually ended up telling reporters that Malaya had been trying to leave him just a week or 2 before the children disappeared. But he claimed that she changed her mind and decided to stay. In addition to all the information being released, photos also ended up being shared publicly that further raised people's eyebrow, because these photos seem to show Jack at school with a black eye on more than one occasion. Now, while Malaya still said nothing about this, Daniel did respond publicly, and he also brushed this off, saying that Jack was 4 years old and he was clumsy, and more often than not, he was roughhousing with his sister. He said that Lily was very rough. It was just from typical children playing and nothing nefarious at all.
I know the truth. I didn't kill Lily and Jack.
All right, word to the wise, ladies. If you're in a bad relationship, and this is coming from me, I have lived through some shit, and I'm 50 years old. Do not ever give a heads up that you're leaving. Ever. Because as it's looking right now, woo, I mean, all the arrows are pointing at Daniel. You just have to go. You just have to go. All right, without further ado, let's bring up our special guest. She has had a lot going on lately. She's been searching. She's been at the Vigil. She's got a lot of stuff going on. Our friend Shenanigans. Well, hello. Boy, I tell you what, aren't you guys in for a special treat? I'm going to address this. Lori Green said, why is Belinda not telling the truth? When Malaya was with Cody, there was a garage full of dirty diapers. Did you see a garage full of dirty diapers? I'm assuming that's at Belinda's house. Why did she put up with that? I'd have called the health department. I'd have called the sanitation department. I'd have kicked their asses out and been like, come back when you can be good parents. If you want a roof over your head, you know where the trash can is. Who the hell just throws dirty diapers out in the garage? I need to know who said that. Good morning, Shenanigans. How are you?
I'm good, Brooks. How are you?
Doing okay. So first, let's start with the Vigil. You went to the 1-year Vigil, broke my heart, and well, how did it go?
For the most part, it went really well. There was a lot of things accomplished, I feel. The highlight for me was seeing Cindy and Belinda come together at the end of the vigil, embrace each other, have a bit of a cry, and discuss Jack and Lily and moving forward, working together. That I would say was probably the highlight, because I feel that this case from the beginning has been sabotaged in that people do not want the families working together. They want them to work against each other. And when people work together, more can be accomplished and more information is shared, and thus more information being able to be provided to the RCMP that is more tangible than online rumor and speculation, which seems to be running rampant and has done since day one.
And that's absolutely a-okay. We have a right to say this is what I think is going on. I've told you my thoughts on it. I've said them publicly. Okay, hold on. Lori said it was when Malaya and Cody have their own apartment. How often was trash pickup, and where exactly were the diapers? Were they in trash bags? Or they just thrown out in the garage? Because if they're getting their diapers picked up every 2 weeks, and if there's no dump that you're allowed to use, and it's probably illegal. Lori said, shy, let's not be stupid. Belinda said it was Wade. So Wade said they had a garage full of diapers.
Yeah, let's address a couple of problems with Lori Green's statement.
Okay.
First of all,
Lori.
No. But there's not likely to have a garage if you're living in an apartment building. So there's something not quite right with that. But garbage collection is every 2 weeks. And with 2 children in diapers, having had twins myself, I can assure you that it does not take long to pile up bags of diapers. So I would be reluctant to jump on the bandwagon too much as to how many bags are we talking about, because over a 2-week period, if you're changing your child every 2 hours, I mean, do the math, I guess. That's a lot of diapers. And like I said, having twins and not having garbage collected for every 2 weeks, it was a bit of a problem. And my shed was often full of garbage. So Uh,
Lori said, and so did Belinda say it was Cody was on rugs then. Well, then that means Malaya had even more problems because she had more people not helping her. Obviously, the babies aren't going to help her. And if Cody's just laying around strung up and trash picks up every 2 weeks, I'm sorry. I can't tell you how. You don't even want to see my house on the week after Christmas. You don't even want to see it. It's disgusting. You wouldn't believe what my son and daughter-in-law are going through right now, because they have a ton of diapers, and sometimes they do not get the trash out. That does not mean they're bad parents.
no, priorities.
Because when you're trying to get out the door to work, it's very easy to miss something like it's trash day. But anyhow, let's go back to the vigil.
There was a bit of tension at times, but with regards to the positive side of things, Malaya had a lot of representation there, friends and family, and there was quite a few community members there. Kent Corbett was the MC. There was snacks and drinks provided for everyone that was there. It ended with a rally in the streets of Stellarton, where the RCMP did close the roads in order for all the members that were at the vigil to do procession down the road with Justice for Jack and Lily signs, and basically chanting that people were wanting justice. And there was a lot of media there as well covering the event, which was great to see. And Belinda did go up and speak. I did address in my live yesterday that it was a shame that there was a lot of criticism thrown towards Malaya's family for not speaking up, but they were not asked to do so before the event started. And unfortunately, Cindy was very emotional and upset due to some people being at the vigil that shouldn't have been there, and was really actually unable to speak for a large portion of the event to anyone. So she was put on the spot to come up and speak, and I don't blame her one bit for not doing so. And it was very difficult for people to be around certain others and wanting to stand next to them to speak. But besides that, a lot of people came together to show solidarity in finding answers for Jack and Lily. And I think that is the main point, and that was accomplished.
And I think that is amazing, especially the families coming together. I see that there should be no problem with the families coming together. I don't think it's a good idea for Janie to speak to Daniel. I don't think it's a good idea for Daniel to speak to Janie. I don't think it's a good idea for either one of them to speak to Malaya. And now new information has come out that when we were all scratching our head, why did Malaya leave the day after the children went missing? Well, she was advised by a member of law enforcement to get out of there. Get out now. If anything happens, we will let you know. And that makes more sense than, well, it's Janie's property and she threw her off. No, they already had an inkling that something happened there. Do you all remember the nice gentleman that works for the RCMP that was with the cadaver dogs that said to Daniel, we think this happened Thursday into early Friday morning. I question, and trust me, I am not Team Malaya, Team Janie, or Team Daniel. I'm Team Jack and Lily, okay? But I can see what is going on. And I have a huge question mark. Who really sent the text message to the school to say that the children weren't going to be there?
It was actually an email sent by Malaya at 6:18 a.m.
Oh, so she did send it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm an idiot. Forgive me.
You're not an idiot. There's just a lot of information to keep to keep straight.
All right, let's go to the vigil. Look at that. Pictures of Jack and Lily.
Sense of direction at the end of the year that they could possibly.
Okay, this is Kent Corbett. He's out there talking to everyone.
Start eliminating some of the possibilities that they know didn't happen. Give us the reasons why they know it didn't happen. And end some of the speculation. Because the speculation on either side, for your own opinion, it seems that somebody's sense of direction.
So that looks like Belinda. And who is she speaking with? Shenanigans.
To her immediate right is Chelsea's husband, and next to him in the black t-shirt is Durwood O'Grady, aka Darren Geddes.
Wow. How did that feel when he came marching in?
I would say it went down about as well as a fart in a church.
Ooh. Yep. Turd in a punch bowl. Can someone get rid of Monsters of Hypocrisy? I don't know who Teabag is. I don't use Teabags. To find an American audience, I don't think my girl Shenanigans needs it. And woo, we already had someone call someone stupid today, and I have never seen your ratchet ass before. And you coming into my living room and don't take off your shoes, and you want to insult someone on the panel that was at the vigil? Whoa, that's a different level. That's a different level of being shamed. Go ahead and just get that piece of shit out of here. Okay, so that's Darren Geddes. Well, I tell you what, he still wants to know where I got that picture of him naked on that moose.
He wants to see the pictures I got of him.
Okay, let's do it. All right. Was this a friendly conversation over here, or could you tell?
I believe that conversation was friendly because, in my opinion, Darren wants to keep Belinda very sweet in order to access information and to see where everyone's standing. However, some of his subsequent conversations weren't as friendly.
Okay, doke. Can give us any heads up on that about the other conversations weren't friendly, or does that have to be?
No, I'm absolutely fine talking about them. When I arrived at the vigil, I spoke to everyone at the vigil and introduced myself to Kent. He was gracious. We had a small conversation about how everyone is in this for Jack and Lily. And he was cordial. We shook hands. I moved on, spoke to Belinda, Chelsea, Chelsea's husband, Belinda's niece, Belinda's sister, other members that were there that happened to be viewers of mine. And I even went up to Durwood to introduce myself and put my hand out to him to shake his hand. But he just stared me up and down in an intimidating manner and walked off. I then proceeded to go and speak to two Mi'kmaqi women that were there to support Malaya and Jack and Lily on behalf of the Mi'kmaqi people of Nova Scotia. And I thank them for coming and showing support. And as I walked away, Darren decided to walk up to these women and have a conversation with him, or with them rather. And it didn't really sit that well with me based on the fact that, based on the information he was putting out about the children being hidden on a reserve, that basically this was a First Nations matter, that First Nations had done an intervention. Those are his own words. I'm not putting any words out there that he didn't say at all. I didn't say that Darren and Kent haven't spoken to them previously either, just so we're clear, to Belinda and family. They've been speaking since quite some time.
Mhm.
So when I walked over to speak with Darren and to see what he might be trying to discuss with these two lovely ladies, I asked him whether or not he still believed the children were on the reserve. And he said, I never said that. And I said, well, that's funny because we've all heard his video and conversations that he's had on many different channels, in which he said the children are on the reserve and that this is a First Nations matter and that they could be across the border in, I think it was Plattstown. I'm not sure. So he turned around and said, I never said that. I said that Malaya's family is responsible for taking and hiding the children. And Cheryl came up behind me and said, well, I'm Malaya's family and we don't have the children. He then proceeded to call her an effing liar and tell me that I was libeling and slandering him by calling him a child molester, which I never did. That was a balance. And
A balance said that about him and Kent Corbett. And I know that Kent Corbett was wanting to go to the upper crust, wanted to go to the higher people at the RCMP to turn in a balance. And I said, there you go. You do you.
Yep. And then he said that I had accused him of having syphilis. And well, we know who said that, don't we, Brooks?
I said MRSA.
Yeah.
I might have said syphilis. I was a little concerned about his nose, but he can sue me from Nova Scotia to Oklahoma, United States. I was giving basically something I looked at on WebMD. That's me caring about Durwood's nose.
Absolutely. And, there's nothing wrong with that, Brooks. Sharing is caring. Caring is sharing.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, things were getting a bit heated. He was attacking my appearance and attacking Cheryl, and his face started to get rather red, and he was getting irate. His nose seemed to be pulsating, and I did mention that maybe syphilis would explain his nose, at which point he kindly explained to me that it's not syphilis, it was rosacea.
Well, my second guess was MRSA, but then I got a phone call from Kent Corbett, and he was having lunch with the gentleman that's standing by Chelsea's husband that wanted to know where I got the pictures of him naked on a moose and snow plowing in a Speedo. And I'm like, I'm just keeping them for me.
Yeah, we got to get that calendar put out, really. I've got
That's
some.
that's for Daphne only, and I don't think you can afford it with the exchange in monies right now. But I think I can get you one for free.
Well, I would appreciate your kindness, Brooks.
Absolutely, I'm here for everyone. Matter of fact, put a 1 in chat if you want a Durwood calendar. It does come with 1 tube of lube, so just remember it's a 2 for 1. Okay.
I don't need the lube. I'll be fine.
Okay, well, you're gonna need it when you see this hot shit. Okay?
Yeah.
We're gonna
I'll try to contain myself.
you're gonna need it. Okay,
Yeah.
coming up 2027, you're going to look at every day to plan your day with a picture of my dirter. Okay, so go ahead and tell me more about what was going on.
Well, was at that point where I just stopped listening and walked away and ran into Nova's Inquest, who is another Nova Scotian true crime podcaster. We had a hug, and I went for a little walk to go talk to the RCMP just to ask what the purpose of Darren being there was, being that Cindy was extremely irate that he was there. We weren't sure what he was actually representing. And when I came back, those 2 lovely ladies, the Mi'kmaqi ladies that had come from the reserve to show their support, were having a rather heated discussion with Darren. I decided to leave them to it because they appeared very capable of handling the situation themselves. And they then went and asked the RCMP to remove him. But unfortunately, due to the fact that it's a public event, and he wasn't causing too much of a scene, opportunity for the RCMP to keep a close eye on certain people. And that's why they didn't want him to go. But that's just my opinion.
Now, I did get a few messages. I'm not going to say whether it's Facebook or email, but there were a couple of people. One came through the channel, and I just told the lady to email me, and I took the comment down because that doesn't need to be floating around publicly because I wasn't there. Okay. I wasn't there, but I'm all about the calendar, and I don't want to hear any more. I thought this was about missing children. Oh, it is. And the more heat we put, the more heat they get. That some people were so uncomfortable with him being there, they wanted law enforcement that were around to please remove him. Did you see anything like that? If you can say. If you didn't see it, then obviously you can't say.
Absolutely. There were many people that wanted him not present. There was Cindy was very upset that he was there, especially as he had been pointing the finger at her and other members of her family, and that he had taken advantage of her elderly mother by providing her with vodka when no one was around in order to gain information about the case. Cheryl did not want him there. The 2 First Nations women did not want him there. And I wasn't too keen on having him there either. And that was all expressed to the RCMP.
But it's a public place, and I'm sure they said, listen, unless he's got a chainsaw or a baseball bat, it's a public place. We'll keep an eye out. I'm just assuming. I don't know exactly what the conversation was.
It was along the lines of, why is it that the RCMP have openly said in a video that you'll show here in a minute, that they are overwhelmed with misinformation And why is it that the gentleman that has created the most misinformation in this case by stating things like Malaya was at the end of the driveway at 6:10 a.m. making phone calls. Even Janie and Daniel themselves have said that Daniel was creating that Darren was creating misinformation by saying that Janie had heard someone shush the kids. I mean, that's just the beginning of the fact that he said that First Nations were involved and that this was an intervention. He also pointed the finger at Cindy, at Haley, at Cheryl, at Hayden, and every other member of the family.
What is this? Who blocked Tint's car in? Who is Tint?
Well, if anybody actually watched my live, and none of these people that are commenting would have, because they're all blocked from my channel, so they have a platform here in order to discuss it. But
Okay, well, then we're going to have a discussion. There you go. With
Yep.
some car blocked in, I could imagine with that many people that would happen.
Well, actually, the incident, which I use loosely, that they're talking about was described quite in detail on my live last night, and I'm sure Tint will go along with it because I've seen his kind comments. So, in case people aren't aware, Tint and Christine Inrig know each other. They discuss the case at length, share information, and we were out on a search with Belinda's sister, Belinda's niece, myself, Cheryl, Cindy, Malaya's mother, another lady, and an ex-RCMP officer based on information that was received at the Vigil. So we were all out just past Lansdowne Station, and we had just finished up searching the area, all of the family together, both Belinda's side and Cindy's side. And we saw a blue Tesla with Ontario plates drive by, and we all said to each other, "That's Tint." So we were already in our vehicles getting ready to leave in the same direction. And Christine was in the front in her vehicle with Angeline. I was in a vehicle with Cindy and Cheryl. And in the vehicle behind us was the ex-RCMP and another lady. And we pulled up behind Tint, and actually Christine pulled up next to him and gestured for him to pull over. And he recognized her because they talk all the time. And he pulled over. She was in front of Tint. We were in behind him, and he could have pulled out onto the road at any time. Initially, Christine was the first one to speak to him. Things were fine. Cindy did get out of the vehicle, did have a few stern words with Tint, but actually in the end, it was all smoothed over. Tint apologized to Cindy for what had happened when he filmed Wade and her without their knowledge on the guise of buying a horse trailer, which he had no intention of doing. It was, in fact, just an opportunity for him to speak to them about the missing children. So he did actually apologize, offered his hand to Cindy, said he was given bad information, and he does not believe that the children were on the reserve.
I think we've investigated that claim that has been made all over YouTube by Durwood. I'm sure they have investigated that. Patriot Girl, he, or is it Patriot Girl the he? Are you a he? I don't have my good glasses on. Patriot Girl. Anyway, I'll just call you Patriot Girl. Shan, you accuse Daniel. I've never heard her accuse Daniel, but I don't exactly comb through everything she says. I enjoy her show. You can look right at this channel, me. Here we go. right here. There you go. I've accused Daniel. You know why? Because I flat out said, I believe all the information in the police report. I believe the allegations. I took it a step further and I said, when silly people say all the things that happened do not relate to Jack and Lily being missing, I said, I believe they do. So if you want to go suck Daniel's dick, go do it. I don't care.
I just want to follow up as well with regards to Tint, and I just want to read the message that he said. He said, "Hey, Shenanigans, happy to see you today. Glad we could all talk it out. The misunderstanding. Please let them know I meant what I said. Thank you for clearing things up." So does that sound like someone that was chased down and intimidated? Because we've been talking every day since.
For real. For real. Is there YouTube misinformation in this case? Yeah. Misinformation happens at the water cooler before you go to your cubicle as well. Are the police getting frustrated? Oh, who's bothering me? I hate when my phone goes off when everyone knows I have a very important show going on. Who is messing with me? I also, now I've lost my train of thought. Oh, let me get back to my, I'll think of it in a second. I'm all
You're
pissed.
fine.
Okay.
I'll just address Patriot Girl saying, why Shan stalked Daniel drive by his house? I've been in Lansdowne 11 times in the last month, searching for Jack and Lily on various occasions with various different people. And often I'm not the one driving. But I will say we happened to be driving by his property while he was doing a live on another channel. And there happened to be a porcupine that was walking across the road that we may or may not have had to honk at.
Okay,
We talked to
Joanne
animals.
said, yeah, I'm really suspicious of MBM. And that's absolutely fine. That's called a conversation. Nobody has to know what the police know. That's actually a horrible thing to do. So back to my thought before someone messaged me with all my new points at Tractor Supply, which actually was good to know. Yes, law enforcement is getting really tired of people. They don't care what you watch. They don't care if you're binge rewatching Friends episodes or Seinfeld. They could care less. But when you call them and say, well, you know, I was watching a Seinfeld episode and I thought about something with Jack and Lily's case. Or I was on this channel on YouTube and I heard this and I think you need to look into it. Every tip has to be investigated. They said too many other provinces are calling with social media speculation. And I could understand people from like the Northeast of America, because if they were truly trafficked, I would say that'd be where they'd be. Let's face it. We all know we don't have a tight border on our northern border. Okay. All right. So that's Belinda and who?
Her sister.
Her sister. Pretty ladies. We've seen this before. Gosh. Okay. Is that when you were doing the drive-by carjacking on Tint?
No, this was still at the Vigil. This is just facing the road, and that is the photographer for the Canadian Press taking pictures of the posters.
So how many people do you think were there?
Approximately 30, 35.
Okay,
Plus,
perfect.
plus media.
Plus media. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to talk about Duper's Delight. Okay. Several of you have had some conversations, whether it be, a lot of people don't talk about this case in Discord, but I mean, I do see some general conversations going on in a friends group, sometimes in the Crime Lines and Lies Facebook group. And they bring up the Duper's Delight that Daniel has had. I mean, we already knew that, Malaya had zero expression, zero, none. And it's going to come out soon why she didn't. It's going to come out. You can't judge a book by its cover. All right. I wasn't impressed by the first time Landon spoke out about Gannon Stout being missing. I just thought something flats here. Something flats here. Something is not working for me. And I also knew that she was a mother that had a lot of issues. Let's face it, women are going to judge women harsher. Do not tell me that's not the truth. We learned it in kindergarten. Okay? We learned it in kindergarten. And we also know a lot of other things about women. So a lot of you wanted me to go through this, and I will, and we're going to do a back-to-back. And I understand this looks a little crazy, but this is the main interview that is studied about Duper's Delight when you have people missing in your family. And that's good old Chris Watts. Remember, you all are the judge and jury here, not me.
Wow. What's going on right now around your house?
Right now, it's got K9 units, the sheriff's department. Everybody's like they're doing their best right now to figure out like if they can get a scent, see where they went. If they went on foot, they went in a car, or they went somewhere. And right now, it's just like they've been on point. They're going through the house trying to get a scent, and hopefully they can pick something up to where it's going to lead to something.
What happened? Your wife came home. Tell me what's.
She came home from the airport 2 a.m. and I left around 5:15. She was still here, and like about 12:10 in that afternoon, her friend Nicole showed up.
Always a historian when you weren't there, and you've always got that smirk on your face because you feel like you're getting away with something. Stella said, "Patriot Girl, you're a wealth of truth." Oh no, keep Patriot Girl in here. She knows that she's keeping the chat jamming. Keep going, baby. You keep going. Because some people, especially on social media, they think it didn't happen if the police didn't text it to them and say, "Hey, guess what? We just brought someone in. We've been interviewing this person for 5 hours." And they're like, "But I haven't seen anything about it." Well, I can give you a lot of reasons for that, but none of them are going to make sense. And this is more fun. So let the ignorance roll. Love it.
Can I just say one thing? The RCMP do not tell me anything.
No, why would they?
I've never claimed that they tell me anything, especially about this case in Jack and Lily. Anyone who's ever had communications with the RCMP will know that it's a one-sided conversation. You tell them things, they listen, they write it down, and they say thank you, goodbye. What they might be referring to is another case that I have been involved in which I was described different methods of investigation, such as digital viewing, which I called remote viewing because it's viewing of technical devices from afar, and how they can take over your accounts and pretend to be you. That was not necessarily regarding the Jack and Lily case, but I am pretty confident that those are the same techniques that are being used in this case, and that everyone is being monitored. Every account is being monitored. Every conversation is being monitored, and has done and will continue to be until they find Jack and Lily. But I have never claimed that the RCMP tell me anything, and nor would they, just like they don't tell any of you people anything.
No, they certainly don't. Because I really thought I had hit the nail on the head with my amazing interview with Vincent. And they did got back with me one time. They wanted to know the date and the time and the platform that I put it on. I thought they were all subs, but fuck me. And I replied, and that's it. Have we seen anything come out of all of that with Vincent? No.
At the door, like I had texted Shanann a few times that day, called her, say, but she never got back to me, but she wasn't getting back to any of her people as well. And that's what really concerned a lot of people, is like, she's not getting back to her, like, if she doesn't get back to me, that's fine, like, she gets busy during the day, but she didn't get back to her people, which was very concerning. And Nicole called me when she was at the door, and that's when I came home.
I'm not comparing cases. I'm just making an example. Okay. So Shanann Watts gets home from a business trip. We know what really happened. When she got home, she was murdered. She was covered up in a sheet and she was put in his work truck. Then he loaded up the two children, Cece and Bella, and after he buried his wife, he suffocated his daughters at the point where one daughter said, "No, not me, Daddy." And he did. But he's making up this whole scenario. He's trying to make it sound like he had seen her that morning. Everything was fine. Nothing happened the night before. And that it was her friend, Nicole Atchison, that just happened to realize that her best friend forever was missing. You're going to see him grin. You're going to see him close his arms. Okay, because we know the truth in this case. That's the reason there's no arguments in it. So let's please have an open mind and not blame everything on one person. Because we know we have heard a short thing from Malaya. Okay? That's all she wants to say. I don't know what she does with her time. I do know I have said some things before that this doesn't look right. This doesn't look right. This doesn't look right. This doesn't look right. Well, she's not in jail and she's not charged with everything.
That's a fact.
And I do know Daniel's going back to court. Jordan Geddes has been arrested. How'd he get all those guns?
He's not the only one of Daniel's friends who's been arrested recently.
Yeah. And I agree. The victims are Jack and Lily. Jack and Lily are missing. I will say Meadow is a victim because she's now being taken care of by the government. And that's not cool. I will say Malaya is a victim with the paperwork we read about what was going on for her, and she was getting help. She was in the process of getting out. And then the two children she didn't have with Daniel are just suddenly gone. Hold on. RCMP may be building up a case against MBM. Well, maybe. Well, then she should be speaking out.
Or maybe she's speaking to who she needs to speak to, which is the RCMP weekly, which I don't believe Daniel's doing unless he's being brought in for questioning. Getting mental health assistance and seeing Meadow multiple times a week. And at least she does actually turn up for her visitation.
It does put a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths, but let me give you some examples of people that did not speak to the media because they took law enforcement's advice. I don't know how often you watch my channel, but we have 23 families that have been told by the FBI, don't give any news interviews, and their children have been shot. Okay, we got 22 in critical condition. Hopefully it's been downgraded, and 1 dead. Let's look at the Audrey Cunningham case. Her mother was going on TV quite a bit, and she would say all the time, I was told by the police not to talk to you guys. Okay, that created somewhat of a mess. We know in the Sean Hornbeck case, his mom and dad were told, do not talk to these people. They will twist everything and make things harder for us. Well, they finally started doing it because they were getting very frustrated. By the way, Sean Hornbeck is alive and well, and he was found alive. He had been kidnapped and hid out by a nasty piece of shit. I have a show on it if you want to look. It's under the playlist Angels Amongst Us. They went on the Montel Williams show, Sean Hornbeck's parents, and talked to a psychic named Sylvia Brown that told him he was dead. They lost it. Let's look at the 3 women in Cleveland, Ohio. I don't have any Canadian examples, so please don't come after me. Okay, Maple Leaves? I'm just saying what I know. The Cleveland 3. Those girls were found after 10 years. One of the women, great lady, she's the one that gave birth to the kidnapper's child, who, by the way, is going to be going to college soon. Her mother had a heart attack after watching a TV show saying that all the girls were dead. We have a case in Fruitland, Idaho. Michael Vaughn. Stacy Wandera is going to trial in September. Tyler Vaughn was told, do not speak to the media. Stand here with us. We will deal with them. They have done several interviews, but it's been basically reactionary. Like, we heard about this, or today is Michael's birthday. They've kept it real clean.
If you were a parent of a missing child and you had full faith in the RCMP, who said, we're working day and night diligently, we're going to find out what happened to your children, but it's in your best interest and the best interest of the case if you do not speak out publicly to the media or social media, because everything you say can and will be twisted, and it could affect the case and create false leads and incorrect theories, making our job harder to find your children. Is it possible that as a caring, loving parent, you would go along with that, especially if you are easily able to be controlled and by authoritative figures?
By the way, everyone can have their own opinion. Please have a conversation. No one's being aggressive with you. She
Am I
has
being aggressive? I didn't
no,
realize.
no one is. I don't see anything going on in chat, and I really shouldn't have to watch a chat when we have a very important show on. My goodness. There's no rhyme or reason to when a child goes missing unless they were abducted or they wandered off. Okay? That means a child got lost away from their home. Or, I mean, they ran away. I hate to even talk about that. Or stranger danger, someone just grabs them. Okay? But when they just go missing, there's no rhyme or reason. And it could be at this point, because it's been over a year now, it could be anyone. It could be Dan in the crew. It could be, who knows? Malaya could have something to do with it, and she's just a really good actress. Who knows? Janie had one of her fits when she was raking the driveway. I have a feeling a lot of people have been ruled out, except for the people they looks like there's a pattern of them going after. That's just my opinion and my conversation. And I don't know these people. They're not my friends. We don't have Thanksgiving together. We don't exchange birthday gifts. I'm just giving an outsider's opinion.
And then walked in the house and nothing was vanished. Nothing was here. I mean, she wasn't here. The kids weren't here. Nobody was here.
What's your wife's name?
Shanann. Shanann.
What's your kids' name?
Bella and Celeste.
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 I don't live in Canada. Shenanigans does, so I have to ask this. Has Malaya ever been charged with a crime relating to Jack and Lily, her two children? We spoke yesterday about when women kill children, they normally kill their whole bunch.
Yep, they do.
Has she been charged with the crime? Because someone is in here saying that she cut a deal.
She has not cut a deal. She's fully cooperating with the RCMP investigation. And it has been stated multiple times by the RCMP that there is no evidence of an abduction.
They said that real quick. Now, let me ask you something, because again, I don't live there, even though we share a border. Why did this judge recently decide that it was okay to get warrants for digitals? Obviously, it wasn't specified whose digitals. Are they digging further in? Or are they seriously talking about the digitals of the 3 adults on the property and geofencing all the neighbors?
I would say that they already had digital forensics from leading up to the children's disappearance for certain people. I believe that they expanded the information that they were looking for greater timelines and additional people. So I don't believe that it's not something they've already looked at. I believe they are expanding their search to include different numbers that they may or may not have been aware of. And after acquiring information through their triangulation methods of finding who was in the area at the time, they would have found maybe other people that were in the area, in which they want to get a warrant to seek their phone calls as well. These things do take a long time. They have to be, all the I's have to be dotted, all the T's have to be crossed, and it takes time to acquire that information from the cellular companies. And It's just not an episode of 48 hours. It's 2 missing children.
And sometimes it works like that. Sometimes it does become a 48 hours mission, and a child warrants come back real quick. By the way, political pressure really helps. We've seen that in a few cases where someone gets a hold of a senator and says, can you please push this warrant through with a quickness? Because we're losing seconds. We're losing oxygen. We have to get out there. And a case is solved real quick. Now, I can only talk about here because I don't follow a lot of crime in your country. And then sometimes, remember, we're talking about little kids.
Yep.
Little kids. We're not talking about a 300-pound man.
No.
We're not talking about a 150-pound woman that is used to being seen at work, grocery store, and talking to friends. We're talking about children.
Which is why they're still investigating this under the Missing Persons Act, because they are able to access information quicker and more efficiently by investigating it in that way. The thing is, Nova Scotia is a different zone. Our court systems are heavily flooded. You just need to look at the local dockets to see how many people are on there every day. So there are only certain times when you can get access to a judge to sign off on a warrant. There are emergency provisions to do so. But in a case such as this, I would presume that there are many investigators looking into many different avenues and many different people. So as much as people want to say it's only the 3 people on the property, I suspect that they are looking further afield as well. And in order to do that, they need to have probable cause for that warrant. And all of that takes time. And if they are dealing with 1,200 tips and possibly 900 tasks spread amongst various divisions of the law enforcement, that all takes collaboration and time. They've said time and time again that this is going to take time. I go back to the Devin Marsman case in which a 16-year-old boy here in Nova Scotia went missing. It took, I think, 3 years for it to get to the court. It took almost 2 years for them to find him. And there were people talking. People were talking. It was also on the unsolved major crime reward program for $150,000. And no one was able to claim it because the people that knew about the case were involved and were not able to collect the reward. So that's a recent case.
I will just say, I mean, I don't know anything about Nova Scotia. I've only been to Alberta a few times. My aunt lives there. Here, when a judge signs a warrant, it's always criminally related. They may not tell the public, but if a child got out of the screen door and fell in the pool while mom was changing a baby's diaper, there's no warrants to be had. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
If a person, I'm trying to think of something else. I don't want to give up any horrific accidents. It's always criminally related. I think what we have here is we have a difference in translation because it's missing persons and it's been a year and they're still doing investigations and still putting out warrants. And, people are getting arrested. I mean, all in the same little clique. Then, I mean, what do you think? I'm asking the chat. Do you think that this is a criminal episode or not? And I do have a question about this. If the warrants are only for the people closest to Jack and Lily, Why wasn't that done on May 1st?
Dan Grendel made a valid point in chat. The warrants would have only been for a specific time frame. And I mentioned earlier, it's likely that they are extending the dates from which they're checking devices, and likely further devices have been detected through their investigative methods. So they've probably been able to acquire additional information in which they want to get warrants to get the digital information from. So, and that would probably be the progress that Staff Sergeant Rob McCammon was talking about.
Okay. All right, we're going back to Dupers Delight.
It's there's a lot going on around here, and I really hope that all of this can lead to something positive.
What did your neighbors, did they see anything? Did your neighbors see anything?
No, like we've the police department went door to door asking, like, cameras and everything, just like nothing.
And my last question, if you have any of them, so feel free to step in. My last question is, if your wife can see this, if she can watch this, what would you like to tell your wife and your kids?
Shanann, Bella, Celeste, if you're out there, just come back. Like, if somebody has her, just please bring her back. I need to see everybody. I need to see everybody again. This house is not complete without anybody here.
Okay, so we get that psychopath. Okay, we get it. He looks right at the camera. He's smiling. He's rocking around, not because he needs to pee. They even said, do you want to sit down? We can take breaks. No, I got this. Oh, no, we all need you to come back home. And he's like, kind of grinning. Then we get to Daniel, and he wants to, he wants to herd the sheep. He is confident, and people keep talking about, and I'm being fair here. People keep saying, Malaya isn't pleading for her children. I don't know that. She could be the biggest bitch to the law enforcement. She could be like, I can't take it anymore. You need to be doing something. Or I'll go to the media. You told me not to. I can go right now. I don't know her. Janie was super defensive. We've all seen Belinda, and she's just a sweetheart. She really is. If she doesn't remember anything about some fucking diapers from 7 years ago, I don't know what to tell you. I don't tell you. All right, so another friend of Daniel's was just arrested. Let's see. Here it is.
I think the charges were actually from a few months after the children disappeared. I think it's actually at the trial position now. So I believe these charges stemmed from the summer. I just was looking into that. But nonetheless, those aren't his first charges. They're not his second round of charges. There is I believe his third round of charges. So I do find it very highly unlikely that he actually does work as a correctional officer, as people have suggested. As he's mentioned on his own Facebook, it's possible that maybe he wrote that as a joke because he spends so much time there, or if he is employed as a correctional officer, I suspect he won't be for very much longer. The charges were 2 counts of assault and a breach of a condition.
Well, I have heard through the grapevine that Chance Lays is also Daniel's drug dealer. And I have heard that from Daniel talking to the turkey guy.
I've also heard that from local sources.
Okay, well. All right, back to Duper's delight. So let's just see what all we have here. Defensiveness and whatever else.
It at this moment, but I can say like they with the DNA collection, it's something.
Okay, hold on. Did I miss a question? I'm so sorry. Hang on. Who had a question? Hustler said, "Are questions not allowed?" When?
Oh, Jess. That would be Jess Bayard.
Okay, sorry. Hustler said Chance was fired and then said, "I'm not bringing in drama." Okay, ask a question. If I missed it, I apologize. I'm really sorry. Or I can drop the link and you can come up and ask a question. No one.
Her question was, Malaya wasn't searching. She was just bringing people water. And that was on the advice of the organizer of the search, because no one thinks it's a good idea for a mother of a child to come upon possible remains or to find any evidence of the children possibly being deceased. So she was there. She did participate in removing people that were injured. She participated in making sure everyone was hydrated. She took the time and effort to thank everyone who had come. And if you ever had the opportunity to meet Malaya, you would know that she's a very quiet person, very soft-spoken and shy. So I think it's not really fair for people to make presumptions and comments about someone they've never met based on one 40-second interview that was done after no sleep and while they were in shock of their children disappearing. But that's just my opinion.
I just do know I can't compare it to Nova Scotia because, like I said, we're in another country. The most comforting thing from when a child comes home, besides, a grilled cheese and, whatever they like to do around the house, is their mother being home. And that's the reason, like, police do what they have to do inside the house as quick as they can and say, "I need you to stay right here," because if said child ran away or if said child got lost, we need someone here they will trust. They might do something different if the police are there.
Yep.
I'm not saying
that's what they told her for the first 36 hours was to not leave the trailer and to stay within the trailer in case they found the children. As time went on with no trace and certain behaviors were becoming more evident and erratic and aggressive, it was at that point, after several altercations at the premises, that it was determined it would be best for her to not have Meadow in those circumstances, along with her mother discussing with her the safety aspects of the property, that she should return to her mother's property, and should the children be found, they would be immediately brought to her.
Okay. Now, I don't know because I've never read it. I do think Malaya knows a lot, and I hope she's relaying that information to the authorities. Why she called her mother. Her mother herself said it was odd that Malaya called her at that time. Why? I don't know. That's for the authorities to figure out. We know that Janie was making a real big deal out about how her brother had called her before Malaya called Cindy. And she told him she wasn't going to town when she's never missed a day going to town. Her words, not mine.
Yep. I think people are caught up on the wrong details. I can see people discussing calls to Malaya's mom. That was actually never even proved that morning. And there's people discussing maps that were being shared about the searches, which didn't occur. The the reason why information was being held back regarding the search and search maps is actually because the RCMP needed to get their report first. They're not going to share information about ongoing and repeat searches to anyone, including family members or search members, until the RCMP has been given a report. So there was accusations out there about gatekeeping and such, but those who know, and those who don't know just want to create drama. So
If she called her mom at 8:28 a.m. because she called and said that her children weren't going to school that morning because they were sick, I don't see what the big deal is, even if her and her mother had some kind of falling out. When it's about your kids, you will call your mother. And I mean,
it's never been stated that that phone call even took place, and she was asleep and groggy until 9:40 a.m. So I think it's unlikely that that story is true. After speaking to Cindy, it's become quite clear that she was not aware until after the police were called, and she didn't get there until lunchtime. So there is a lot of misinformation out there, and that's probably why the case is taking so long.
I read it on Globe and Mail, and I assume that was around one of the times that Daniel, I was putting together what Daniel said. When Daniel said that, they kept telling Lily to leave the room so they could sleep. That's what I was trying to piece together. And that's all I know. And if she called her mother, she called her mother.
What I heard was that it was a dialed number, but wasn't completed. And
I would have to go back and look at the documents. I don't know. I mean, that calling her mother doesn't really concern me. Not having any idea what has happened over the last 12 hours and your boyfriend turning on the lights at midnight to make sure Jack and Lily were asleep makes no sense. When you have children that age, you might barely crack the door and see if the night light's on and see if they're sleeping. Or if you hear something, you'll go in the room. Yeah, you'll go in and you'll turn on the light when it's time for them to get up to go to school. And I just thought that's really strange.
The thing that I find the strangest is why did Daniel turn on the light at midnight? And why was he up all night? And he wasn't in a deep sleep by any means that morning, likely because he was coming down from methamphetamines. And Malaya woke up feeling extremely groggy and unwell, and was later diagnosed with mono. So I think there's a lot of things to consider. If you decided the night before when you went to bed and put the children to bed that the kids were not going to be going to school in the morning, and they were still asleep at 6:18 because you didn't hear them, would you get up and go and check, or would you just lie in bed because all your kids are sleeping and send that message and go back to sleep?
Depends on how sick I am. I mean, I've gone to work sick. Depends on what kind of sickness it is. Mono will definitely take the wind out of your sails. And if Daniel is that hands-on of a partner, he could have easily told the kids to put their clothes on. See, this actually makes more sense. And he could have walked them out to the bus.
He could have.
But him turning on the light at midnight, see, the extra is what always gets me in these cases. People are always so vigilant when a child goes missing, unless they have nothing to do with it. It's a regular old day. Went to work, came home from work, child went out to play, ordered some pizza, got out some leftover meatloaf, yelled for my child, called 911. But the inconsistencies in a true missing child's case, and I'm not saying other children aren't missing. Yes, abduction is missing. When there's an inconsistency in any story, when 2 babies are missing, I've got a big problem. And I have never seen any documentation how those children had so many bruises. And if that's AI generated things, I wouldn't be surprised. But missing 41 days of school, which was in the paperwork, I do not understand that at all. Does anyone have any insight into that?
I would say they were both COVID babies. They had very weak immune systems from not being around other children and being isolated. They were going into their first years of school, in which any parent will tell you they will pick up every and any single illness that is going around. I had twins. They picked up every single thing that ever went around in that school. And I would presume that the 41 days of illness ran from September through until May to their disappearance. And I would predict that my children likely in their junior years of school likely missed as much as that. And then post-COVID, I would say they might have even missed even more, because education is important, but so is mental health and getting better before you go back to school. So I've kept my girls home if they've been having a bad day, didn't sleep very well, were feeling run down, or if I just wanted to take them out and spend the day with them, because ultimately, if they're getting good grades and they're still learning, that kind of thing doesn't bother me at all. And the 41 days doesn't.
41 days, because we had kids with, I don't know, totally different area of the world. It doesn't matter what we do down here.
Something's definitely proceeding forward with that.
How did that go when they took your sample? Did they take you into the station?
Yeah, it was done at the station. Investigator did it. They have an applicator, which, they hit the end of your finger with it, just like you were testing for your blood sugar. Just, pinch the end of your finger, and I had to squeeze for 20 minutes to get some blood out. But after we get...
No, nobody had to squeeze for 20 minutes to get blood out. And they basically told him, this is the same needle we use when we're just getting blood sugar. It's a simple DNA test. I don't know how many people had DNA tests, but they obviously needed his. It could either be for the charges that came out a few days later regarding the charges he's up against, or it could be about Jack and Lily. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think that it would be regarding the charges that he's facing, because when he was arrested in January, it was stated in the documents that it was for an incident that happened between the December and March of the previous year. So it's unlikely there would be any DNA evidence. The evidence against him is likely digital. I would presume it's to eliminate his DNA, or to acknowledge his DNA presence on items such as the blanket.
Ron Mexico said, who goes to a vigil for 2 missing kids and creates conflict and drama? Durwood. We already heard about it.
Ron
Thank you.
Mexico's a big fan of mine.
I know. We're going to make a calendar for you.
Before it drops out, it goes onto a little pad, and it's put in a envelope and then plastic bag and then sealed up for evidence.
Do you know of anyone else who had their sample taken?
No. I was never disclosed any of that.
Yeah.
Nor do I ask, because I know I would not get an answer in return.
Right.
Of course you asked. If someone hauled me in and said, we need your DNA, which they do it with a Q-tip and they do it with blood here. And so they'll like swab your mouth and probably take some hair. Never happened to me. I've just other cases I've covered. And of course you're going to ask, are you just asking for mine or anybody else's? 9 times out of 10, they'll say, right now, we're just asking for yours. And that's enough to put the fear of God in someone. And they'll say, oh, shit.
You've been asking questions.
Yeah, I ask a lot of questions. Sometimes they can't answer.
And was that voluntary, or did they
That
call
was
you?
100% voluntary. They never have to get a warrant to do anything. I'm always cooperative. Just like in the past, I keep asking them, do you want my phone? Do you want me to do more polygraphs? Like I'm open to everything. And I always tell them that. They say, Daniel, no, we don't need your phone. Daniel, no, it's not necessary to do any more polygraphs. So at this point, I'm very cooperative, you know. And when they did up the paper for consent on my DNA, you know, they fill in the paper, you know, May 2nd, missing persons case for Jack and Lily. And then they go through it. And then there's the box checked for criminal involvement, no criminal involvement. And they check the box for no criminal involvement. And I put my signature on it. And there was my consent.
Okay, no such thing. We've already gone over that. But we're doing Dupers delight. When someone's trying to convince you of something, do you see, okay, we're going to have school time now. School time. And don't forget, we have another show in an hour and a half on the other channel. Do you see any Dupers delight similarities between Dan the man and Chris the shit?
I absolutely do. I found it really intriguing how he preemptively offers up information such as, I've offered the RCMP my phone and they said, no, Daniel, we don't need your phone. It's possible that that's because they already had taken his phone at the beginning, and he admitted to the fact that the RCMP gave him another phone for 2 weeks while they had his. And it's likely that any and every conversation during that time was recorded and taken into account. And it's likely that they were able to create some sort of, let's say, evidence gathering material on his phone in order to monitor his ongoing conversations. And I'm sure that the drones flying over his house multiple times also gather information from his router. And so I think it's interesting that he tries to preemptively provide information about how cooperative he is being, just like Chris Watts was. But in reality, it just shows the lack of emotional maturity to realize that they are watching and they already have all the information that they need. They just need to put it all together and find the evidence, in my opinion.
In my opinion, too. And Chris Watts was a damn Eagle Scout until they got the digitals and realized that he had been having a long-going affair with another woman. And that's when they cracked the case. And so the digitals really did a lot of things. I mean, in the case of Sydney Sutherland, the man that abducted and raped her when she was jogging, He was out helping people search. He gave the first interview. When they started doing their digital geo-tracking sweep, they realized where he was. They brought him in for questioning, and he's on the death row. Janaka, thank you for the super sticker. Bless you, ladies, for covering these cases. Thank you. You're welcome. So I see a lot of similarities too. The body posturing.
It changes throughout the interview. You'll notice at the moment in this particular position, he's leaning forward, his legs are open, his hands are clutched in front of him. He's in like an open dialogue position. But as the questions change, he then leans back and covers his private area in a protection type of stance. So it really does depend on what questions are being asked and how intense the conversation is. I'll be interested to see interrogation videos later on of how he looked and behaved when under intense scrutiny from RCMP with extremely tough questions, because Angela is a great interviewer. So is Allie, and so is Lindsay. But I would say they are not interrogators. They are more, they're investigative reporters. So the questions aren't as intense, perhaps leading or thorough as what he would have been receiving from the RCMP.
Well, since it's still a missing child's case and has not been classified as a criminal investigation, if you are a citizen of Nova Scotia, that province, you should be able to file what's called a Freedom of Information Act, and they'll send you everything they have. I mean, that's okay. All right, so let's get to what the RCMP have said recently. And it's basically...
Sorry, I've only got about 6 minutes left, and then I got to get to an appointment.
Don't you worry about it. This is going to be slow and easy.
So much information. Do you feel there are people out there that might be able to give you information that can lead you somewhere?
Oh, absolutely. We really would like the public to consider, if they do have any information, real factual based information, to please contact us at the numbers provided. We seek anything we can find so that we can follow up and find new leads, new avenues to find information.
Jacob Moore with Acadia Broadcasting. What sort of level of new information or new discovery do you need for this to potentially move from a missing persons case to something else, potentially something criminal or suspicious?
Sure. It's hard to really put a label on what exactly we need, as you can imagine. Speculative. It creates work for us that, of course, takes away from maybe better areas that we could focus on sometimes. So it just helps for us in our stuff. People consider, is this something that is factual, something the police can find more information on? So does that answer your question? Okay.
Dem Grindle said, I think he's speaking directly to Daylene. Now for that, I'm going to go ahead and give you comment of the day. Okay. We can all get along here. I promise we can. If you say it 3 times, she'll be here.
I think this was reported in the fall, but I'll re-ask just
Sure.
the setting. The polygraph, family members, community members, can you use a bit of specificity or just a general
Sure.
sense of the polygraph?
Generally, we've interviewed different people related to the circumstances here. I'm not going to get into specifics of it, but there's been a few different polygraphs done, and that's, of course, a tool that we use as part of our investigation. So, not just family, but there's been different people polygraphed. So,
And my follow-up would be just the investigation in general, the pressure on the province. I spoke with a criminologist from St. Thomas University, and he said in a case like this, it's hard on the family, it's hard on the community, it's hard on the investigators. Can you just offer a comment on how pressurized an investigation this is? Because there's obviously a lot of emotion injected into it because of these 2 young children.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've mentioned this a couple of times. Our investigators feel pressure. And they put it on themselves. As much as everybody is pressuring us, we pressure ourselves almost doubly as much as that. So, but they're committed to finding answers. Everybody wants answers to this, to what's happened here. And we'll continue to follow all avenues that are available to us until we have those answers.
All right. Right there. That's from them. Said, we are going to continue. We're going to continue this until we have the answers. We know everyone wants the answers. Basically, everything they're saying is they're digging deeper. I don't understand what they're digging on. They're not going to tell us. Good move. But I want to say thank you to everybody from this side of the border, or from across the pond, or in Canada, for, keeping up and keeping Jack and Lily's name out there. Even if we fight, even if you troll, you're still giving Jack and Lily attention. Whether you believe it or not, you are still putting them in the algorithm. Because all engagement is counted. Not by me. I don't have enough beans for that. So even if you think you're just poking fun at a creator for whatever reason, you're actually helping the hashtag. And this one is Lily and Jack Sullivan. So let's give everybody a round of applause. And thank you, Shenanigans, for searching, going to the vigil, telling what happened at the vigil, seeing two families come together, telling what you know as much as you can, and speaking your mind. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're from a place that believes in censorship and status quo and mob rules, then, you might want to have to open up your mind a little bit. Okay? And the victims are the children. That is true. Jack and Lily are the ones missing. So let's give a round of applause to our friend Shenanigans.
Thanks for having me, Brooke. And I will state, just for the record, my opinions have evolved over time. The more knowledge and the more information that comes to light, the more things form a bigger picture. And I will be the first one to admit that I will advocate for a mother of two missing children who, by all accounts, the RCMP has said underwent domestic violence and coercive control. And if I am wrong, I'll be the first one to admit it as well. And everyone else has their advocates, and this is where I choose to stand. But thank you very much for having me. Thank you for always keeping Jack and Lily in the light as well. And I do think it is important for everyone to realize that we are all in this to try to find what happened to Jack and Lily. And it shouldn't be about sides. It should be about gaining information and keeping the information out there, dispelling misinformation, and trying to get and assist the RCMP in any way we can. So that's where I stand with that. And I'll continue doing what I'm doing. And there ain't nobody that's going to stop me.
All right. Well, you get on to your appointment, and thank you so much for joining us this morning.
All right. Thank you so much. And I'm sure I'll see you again soon.
Oh, I guarantee you will, girlfriend. I guarantee
right.
you will. And in my closing, I'm going to say that when people are talking about picking sides, it happens in every missing persons case. It's almost like picking up a National Enquirer from the 80s, trying to decide who did it with limited information and an 8th grade educated journalist trying to tell you the facts. Okay. So the picking sides is normal. Okay. I have playlist after playlist after playlist after playlist after playlist. Someone's always picking a side. Sometimes we pick the right side. Sometimes we pick the wrong side when it comes to who hurt the children. I think it's safe to say we're all on Lily and Jack's side. I think that is safe to say. Can anyone cite a missing children's case where the mother went AWOL? I can give you 3 off the top of my head that were suggested by law enforcement. Where do you want me to start? But I can't do it in your country. I'm assuming you're from Canada. So Jack and Lily is what we're here to talk about. And that's what we are talking about. And there is a huge myriad of accusations, speculations, a lot of things that are not discussed and not talked about as they should be not. And again, I am an American commentator, so I don't know exactly how things are done in Nova Scotia. So I bring up my real Canadians to help me out because we do care when children just disappear. All right, you all, I will see you back on my other channel at noon Central. It's going to be nothing but well, you know how the other channel goes. All right, you guys, I will see you back on the other channel in about an hour and 15 minutes. Thank you, Mod Squad. Thank you, Jananka. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here.